Perfect. So, like I said, I'm not. Okay, awesome. So I am so thrilled that each of you are here today. So some of you, this is your first time at Around Pen Live. Some of you have been with us for a couple of years and you show up every single time. And I love to say at the beginning, you know, it is the ones that lean in, that show up live, that truly get the most out of what we're going to chat about in the next hour, because this is life-changing work. And so off the bat, for Unstuck and Unstoppable, pardon me, I'm super excited to present our speaker today. And so it's Sandra Wallin, registered clinical counselor, lifelong horsewoman, one of Canada's most sought after PSYCH-K facilitators. Sandra brings decades of experience in equine guided development, psychology, and belief change. And I'm talking about true belief change at a deep subconscious level. And that's what she's going to talk about today. She's known for her deep wisdom, her powerful, powerful presence, and she bridges the science of the mind with the soul of the horse. And so that's kind of the kind of typical bio of Sandra, but I just want to give my own a little bit. So I met Sandra, I wish I knew, but I'm going to say 7 or 8 years ago. And I met my friend of mine out for lunch, and I said, "Oh, what are you doing this weekend?" And it was on a Friday, and she said, "I'm going to Maple Ridge, Canada, British Columbia, and I am doing this program called PSYCH-K." And she told me a little bit about it from her rudimentary idea of what it was. And you know, I messaged her about 2 hours later and I said, do you think I can go? Like, I don't want to go with you. I can drive on my own. It's about 7 hours away. But I was at a point in my life where I'd done every personal development course. I had read the books. Nothing was landing. It was like some things, I'd get a little bit of movement, but it was like there was something holding me back. And what I learned that weekend changed my life. I remember sitting in Sandra's basement and this feeling of, this is the piece I've been looking for. I knew there was a missing piece, and there it was. And it was this mix of science and spirit that Sandra's really eloquently able to bring forth and lead with. And so I don't want to steal her presence here. Congratulations for being here. It's going to be an incredible hour, and I'm super excited to introduce you and let you meet Sandra Wallin.
Oh, thank you, Tamara. Every time I get to spend time with you, it's a joy. And I know today will be no different. I will apologize in advance, everybody, that I am not technically adept. And so I've got a couple of slides coming up with little video connected to it. We're hoping that that's going to work when we get there. And also, Tamara, I have a silly question, but showing up on my screen is this thing that says that the recording, if this is being recorded, okay. Do you see that? Or
Yeah, everybody got it. Just hit OK, and we should be good. It just means we actually remember.
Once I'm in the big screen, it won't let me bring my mouse up there. So I need to just apologize, everyone. I'm going to stop sharing in the large screen for just a minute so that I can get rid of this meeting is being recorded. There we go. And I'll start up again. Tamara promised me that everybody would be really understanding around that today. All right, we'll pop on back up. There, how's that? Can you see? Perfect, thank you. Well, Unstuck and Unstoppable, goodness sakes, that's kind of what Tamara was saying earlier as she was introducing how she encountered PSYCH-K, that she was at this impasse kind of place in her life. And I would say that it would be very rare to find someone who experiences this beautiful modality and isn't freed in the most incredible, sometimes predictable, and sometimes very unpredictable ways. Because we're going to learn that when we engage with and align, actually, I love the word align, all 3 levels of our consciousness, which we're going to talk about what those are and how they work and how they're unique and different one from the other. When they come into alignment, it's incredible. I would say that I'm not afraid to use the word miraculous. Miraculous things do happen. So hopefully miraculously, when I click my little move button, we'll go to the next slide. There we go. Perfect. A lot of times people think that the brain is the mind. So today we're going to be talking quite exclusively about the mind as opposed to the brain, but we have to always pay homage to the beautiful gray matter that we are so fortunate to be able to share our our lives with. The brain is not the mind. You can think about it as a CPU chip inside of a computer. The mind, which is what we're going to be exploring today, is the energy that interpenetrates the brain and the body, but also not just that. The mind is actually amorphic. It exists outside and beyond the confines of our physiology as well. And there's all kinds, I mean, people have been talking about the mind since people could talk about anything, and since we had consciousness, really. So this idea of what is consciousness, I'm not going to give any truth today per se, but ideas and concepts and things to look and chew on. So from a PSYCH-K perspective and from a Dr. Bruce Lipton perspective, that's how we're going to approach the idea of the mind today. I love this idea that we have more than one, because sometimes we talk about the mind as if it is a one and done thing, and it's actually a mosaic. It's actually an interconnectivity of more than one. So this idea of, and I'm sure that you've heard this before, that when we try to change our mind, goodness sakes, our mind actually has a mind of its own. And some of these might seem familiar to us, like, oh, I changed my mind. I'm going to make this New Year's resolution and things are going to be different now. And I promise that I'm going to make myself a priority, or I promise that when I go out to the barn, I'm going to actually take space and time with my horse, as opposed to being in the doing, I'm going to be in the being. So these types of promises or commitments or ideas or goals that we set for each other, sometimes we'll be moving forward along with them, and then before you know it, we're back to where we started from. So this concept of having multiple minds is something that we're going to be exploring today. Our life is, in fact, on autopilot, and it's the beliefs, it's the foundations that are laid down, often even in utero. So when Bruce talks about conscious parenting and how, we won't get into a lot of that today, but the idea that the mindset is actually being influenced and formed even before we're born by the environment, the maternal environment of the mother, and also what's going on in the mother's environment peripherally, not just in uterine environment, but peripherally as well. So as much as 95 to 99% of our consciousness is unconscious, non-conscious, subconscious. And that's an important statistic, because we really very often try to create change with this 1 to 5% that we would define as our conscious mind. And it's really the 95 to 99 that's below our level of conscious awareness that's driving the trajectory and influencing the trajectory and the outcome of our lives. A great metaphor for the conscious and the subconscious mind, which most of us are familiar with, is this idea of an iceberg. So what we can see above the surface of the water, that 1 to 5%, would be defined as our conscious mind. And this is where we spend all of our effort, putting our willpower, the blood, sweat, and tears kind of place in our lives. This is what's happening above the surface level that we can all see. And then below that other 95 to 99 is the storehouse of our beliefs and our experience. So there's our values, our habits, our purpose, our vision. All of these are influenced and held with the data, essentially, that's been recorded and held in the subconscious database. And when we try to create change with that 1 to 5% and we're not seeing the results that we really want, it's because this other massive amount of power, the horsepower that lives under the surface of the water, might not actually be aligned and working for us. So with this conversation, we want to talk about the idea of how we can get our minds working together, how we can get them aligned and pointed in the same direction. Now we're going to talk about, actually, can I back up? Yes, I can. Okay, so this screen is showing conscious and subconscious. What's not on this particular side is something called superconscious mind, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute, but it is a term that PSYCH-K uses to describe our connection to source or spirit. The wise is part of who we are, our inner CEO, depending on who I'm speaking with. So we're going to talk here in a minute about 3, I won't say levels because that would kind of infer a hierarchy, but 3 aspects of the mind, because one is not necessarily more important than the other. So the conscious mind we can think of as the captain of the ship. And I'm going to give 3 different scenarios here that will progress into the horse scenario. The captain is the part of our mind that decides where to go. Okay, so it sets our goals. It's decides on what, well, you used it to decide that you're going to be attending today. So the conscious mind is literal. It makes up that 1 to 5% of our consciousness, as I was referencing a moment ago. It is the place where our short-term memory is housed. So if I told you my telephone number, you could remember it for about 20 seconds is what the research is showing. And then that telephone number would be lost to your conscious mind. Unless you did some sort of mnemonic to help you anchor that in, the short-term memory only holds things for a short amount of time. It's the place where we connect to the future and also the past. So when you're thinking about tomorrow or lamenting or celebrating what happened yesterday or lifetimes ago, this is the conscious mind's ability to go backwards and forwards in time. It is, it's in terms of its processing power and capacity, it can process information at a rate of 40 bits of information per second, and we'll see a slide about that in just a minute. The subconscious mind is more thinking about more of the vehicle that can take us to where we want to go. So in this case, the captain of the ship would decide that this vessel would be sailing to a certain destination, and then they would orient the sails in order to move the ship towards whatever the goal was that they were deciding where they wanted to go. The wind, if you think about that, is going to infuse the sails with energy, and it's also what can help us move forward. It also is going to let us know if what it is that we're wanting to go, or where we want to go, or what we want to achieve is actually safe and appropriate in the context of our lives. So I'm going to talk about these more in just a minute, but I just want to share these slides to give you some imagery that might help you think about that. So different kinds of captains. We'll talk starships now instead of the ships that sail on the sea. And I have to, as a Canadian, have William Shatner as one of the captains from Star Trek, but I do also love Patrick Stewart. So these 2 guys here, they can put their heads together, we've heard about, to make decisions about where they're wanting the Enterprise, in this case, the subconscious mind represented by this beautiful starship. And the beautiful thing, if you've watched Star Trek, and I love using this analogy because I loved the show, the captains would decide what star system or what galaxy, what planet, what people they wanted to go and visit, what their destination was. And then those coordinates essentially are put into the console. They're put into the GPS of the starship. And the starship will only go where it's been programmed to go. And that's a really significant thing to note, is that our subconscious mind can only take us to where we have programs, the destination's coordinates. So if I were to plug a coordinate in here and then if I'm driving my Jeep somewhere, if I put something into the GPS, it's going to tell me where to go and it'll take me there. It's never going to it doesn't have a mind of its own in a way of saying, well, actually, Sandra, probably be better if you went this way instead, and da 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 da. Or maybe that's not the best time and place for you to do this. That's going to be the domain of the superconscious mind. It's going to let us know if where we want to go is actually safe and appropriate. Once we make the choice to go there, once we put the coordinates into the subconscious mind, the superconscious mind says, hey, actually, if you go there now, there's a meteor shower, for example, along that route, along that pathway. And so it's not going to be safe and appropriate for you to do that now. When we think about the big picture of the three consciousnesses together, then we have this beautiful scenario here of being able to traverse the cosmos and reach destinations that our conscious mind is able to imagine. And then we have to talk horses. So when you think about the trajectory of the three aspects of the mind, we, as the horsewomen, the horsemen, we would think of ourselves as the conscious mind, the horses themselves as the embodiment, really, of the subconscious beliefs and programs. And then when we put things all together, when we're out riding in nature, then we think in this particular example of nature as the superconscious, the all that is surrounding us. And when those all come together, then the harmonization of the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious minds end up looking something like this. Now, actually, I'll start this in just a minute. I want to talk just a little bit more about the conscious, the subconscious, and the superconscious minds. So as I said earlier, the conscious mind makes up 1 to 5% of our consciousness. It's literal. Pardon me, it's not literal. It's did I say literal? My goodness sakes, because I didn't have my note here. It's able to understand abstract qualities. So please go back and delete the idea of it being literal. It's actually it's the part where our imagination and our creativity is held. Our short-term memory, as just mentioned, past and future focused, connected, processing capacity of 40 bits of information per second. The subconscious mind, conversely, instead of being volitional, where we make our choices from, it's actually habitual. And this is important because subconscious mind controls all of the motor functions of our body. And that includes the fact that our digestion works without us thinking about it. Our heart beats without us having to remind it to. The electrical impulses that animate our muscles so that I can wave at everybody, all of that's governed by the subconscious mind. And this is going to be important because we don't have to think about all of these processes happening within the body. They are habituated. They are managed by the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is literal, so it's more like speaking to a 5-year-old. It is present time connected, and this becomes important later on in the PSYCH-K processes when we learn how to create change and transformation. We're going to always be defining our goals as if they already existed, so speaking about them as if they were in present time. We have to do this because the driving agent, if you think about a horse, the rear end of the horse is the driving agent. We want to be able to engage the power of that, moving us towards whatever our conscious mind has decided is our goal. And it needs to be as if it were already happening. Because if I'm thinking about something that I want to happen and I'm using it will happen one day, or I want to be able to experience something, then we by definition, we're placing that outside of the power of the subconscious mind to actualize and create, because it's always going to be keeping it down the road in future tense. So we want to be, when you think about, and this is something that's a silly something perhaps, and maybe we don't give it as much attention as it deserves, but the power of creating transformation lies in present time. And we'll have a little slide about that in just a minute. So the subconscious mind experiences the world in the present moment. So any new world that we want to be creating and generating, we have to be considering it as if it were already true. Even though the conscious mind might go, well, that's not true. I might want to be balancing for having optimal health if I've received a diagnosis. And the conscious mind will go, but you're not healthy. Look at your blood pressure. Look at your labs. But when we balance for things, when we speak to the subconscious mind as if we were already healthy, as if those labs were already in harmony and in the normal range, then this gives the subconscious mind the opportunity to create that. When we change our beliefs, when we change things at the subconscious level of the mind, we're rewriting programming, that the destinations, the coordinates that are being put into the GPS. It also has such a powerful effect because it governs all the motor functions of the body. It can change. When I change a belief, when I change a program at the subconscious level of the mind, I can change my biochemistry. It's quite miraculous. The subconscious mind is this, like, everyone pays lip service to it. I mean, there's so many different modalities and speakers and teaching modalities and philosophies that talk about the power of the subconscious, but to actually learn how to befriend it and engage with it is a whole other conversation, which is what we're having today. Another significant part of the subconscious is that I'm going to just back up the slide, so speaking about it when I'm aligned with the right slide. The subconscious mind can transform or process information at a rate of 40 million bits of information per second. The conscious mind was 40 bits of information per second. The subconscious mind is 40 million bits. So if we want to create real change and transformation, we need to have the subconscious mind pointed essentially in the same direction that our conscious mind has chosen to go. The joke about it is that if you just do the math, it's kind of a no-brainer. If you want to create change with the conscious mind, we have to make sure that the subconscious mind is actually aligned with that. And in a nutshell, people will say sometimes, well, what is PSYCH-K? What is the PSYCH-K process? And I'll very often just quite simply say it's about learning how to align our conscious beliefs and goals, dreams, desires with our subconscious programming and perceptions. And when we do that, when they are actually aligned, it's quite incredible how quickly things can happen. Now, the superconscious mind, the environment, the universal frequencies that we all live within. Again, PSYCH-K speaks about this as our connection to source. Some people would talk about it as their relationship with the divine. Some people might think that are less spiritually oriented would talk about the wisest part of who they are, their inner CEO, their conscience. So it's that part of them, that aspect. If you think about from an architectural perspective, it would be actually the architect that can look at the blueprint. The subconscious mind would be the general contractor that builds and creates what the conscious mind has decided it wants. The house, the home, the building, the life that the conscious mind wants to create. And when we put all of those things together, when the conscious mind makes a choice, when the subconscious mind is aligned and is supportive, it has the programming and the data to support the conscious mind's desire, and when it's safe and appropriate for us to move forward according to the superconscious mind's perspective, then it's incredible how these things, these miracles, these manifestations tend to show up. And that Tamara was talking about earlier about how quickly things have changed. And also, when we learn how to use these processes, and the more we engage with them in our daily lives, I would say, for myself at least, that it's something that I now embody. It's not something that I think about. It's not something that I go, oh, I need to set time aside to do. It's just a filter. It's a perception. It's how I see the world, but it's also how I place myself in the world as well. So this is just a silly little, I love this example. Pay attention to the characters in here and, well, the donkey in particular, I guess, and think about which mind he is representing. Well, let's hope that this actually will work. I'll just play, not the whole thing, but just the first minute or so.
Are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
Not yet.
Hey, are we there yet?
No.
Well, are we there yet?
No.
Are we there yet?
Yes.
Really?
No.
Are we there yet?
No!
Are we there yet?
No, we are not.
Are we there Are we there
Are we
yet?
there yet?
Hey, that's
Hey,
not
that's
funny.
not funny.
Hey, that's really
That's
immature.
really immature.
See, this is why
See, this is
nobody
why no one
likes
likes
ogres.
ogres.
All right, you're
All
lost.
right, you're lost.
I'm gonna just stop talking.
Finally.
So the donkey is very much our conscious mind. It's always trying to get there as fast as it possibly can. And it's using the power of the conscious mind to achieve its goal, which is 40 bits of information. So the speed at which that carriage, if you want to think about it from this perspective, is moving along at a rate of 40 bits of information per second. So when we want to get to where they're going, which is the land of far, far away, if we want to be able to get there at lightning speed, we have to be able to bring the subconscious mind on board. Now, the conscious mind you can think about as the little guy on the railroad cart using his blood, sweat, and tears, all of his muscles, all of his energy that he's putting towards trying to get from A to B. So this is a representation of that using this drawing. The subconscious mind, think about it as a nuclear-powered locomotive, which moves at the speed of 40 million bits of information per second. And that's fine and dandy if these two are pointed in the same direction. If my subconscious mind actually has the data to support my goal of, creating a beautiful and sustainable, successful equine guided practice, it's amazing how quickly that practice comes to life. If, however, which these diagrams are showing, they're at juxtaposition to each other, if the conscious mind wants to move along the pathway of achieving that level of success, but the subconscious mind actually has different data pertaining to that goal, not worthy, it's difficult, it's hard. Who are you to possibly think, who am I to possibly think that that's a viable thing? How could I ever make a living doing that? It's going to be a struggle. All of the different values of beliefs or belief systems that I have about success, worthiness, my capability, the support that I get from my community, the relationship that I have with the horses I share my life with, my ability to attract and call in a match for me in terms of the clients that I want to work with. If the subconscious mind is actually pointed in the opposite direction, then I'm never going to, with my conscious mind, achieve those goals. So a couple things here. If I want to move from A to B with my conscious mind, and the subconscious mind is even neutral to that, actually going to use a different example. I know Tamara loves the train example. But for our horse folks, if you think about the top left-hand image as the conscious mind, think about it as one horse, the horsepower of one horse. So you're going to connect your cart, your carriage, which is carrying your goal, holding your goal in the most beautiful way, and invite that horse to walk on, to move forward. So we start moving along the trail, along the pathway towards our destination, carrying our goal with us. We want to bring it from A to B, arrive there. Conversely, the subconscious mind is going to be represented by 1 million horses. And so 40 bits of information to 40 million bits, 1 to 1 million. So we've got 1 million horses hooked up to the same cart with our goal, our dream that we place so gingerly and tenderly and carefully in. And those horses just stay still. So we've got the one horse that's trying to pull the cart in one direction, but we have 1 million horses just standing where they are. They're ground tied, right? Now, neutrality, 1 versus the 1 million, we're not going to be moving anywhere. We're probably going to be staying where we are. The other counterpoint to that is if those 1 million horses actually believe something more in the opposite direction. So I'm worthy of success. Actually, all the data that's in the subconscious mind is leaning more towards unworthy. So now those horses are always going to be moving in the direction of the unworthy. And they're 1 million horses, remember. So you've got the one horse moving towards worthiness, towards success, and you've got the 1 million horses moving in the opposite direction towards unworthiness and failure. So this is why it's imperative. If we want to create real and lasting change in our lives, we have to be able to turn those 1 million horses around and have them move in the direction of our conscious dreams, desires, and goals. Here's your dream representing the conscious mind, 40 pixels. This is looking at 𝒂𝒂𝒄 with the power of the conscious mind. Here's looking at 𝒂𝒂𝒄. Here's what you see. Here's what you get to embody and create when the subconscious mind's perspective is brought into the conversation, when it actually aligns with the dream of this beauty that we get to see here. And this slide, I was just talking about this a little bit earlier. I often think about the myth of Sisyphus, who was resigned or fated to live eternity pushing a rock up the hill, and the rock would, as soon as it reached the top, it would roll on back down. And I'm sure that many of us have had experiences in our lives where we move towards something and then we're back to where we started again. Or there's that rubber band effect or that yo-yo effect. If you are experiencing anything like that, actually, it's great to be aware of it, because it's letting us know, cut and dry, that your subconscious mind, the horses, those million horses, that nuclear powered locomotive, it's not actually pointed in the direction that your conscious mind wants to move. So that's a great level of awareness. I love noticing where I'm seeing some yo-yo or experiencing some reverb or the boomerang effect, because it's, oh, that's just a program. I don't have the subconscious beliefs and programming to support me in achieving this goal. So no problem. I just do a PSYCH-K balance to transform my perception of whatever it is that I want to create, to make sure that I now download that new belief into the substrate of my subconscious mind. And also, again, bringing in the superconscious mind, I'm always going to check to make sure that at this time and place in my life, it's actually safe and appropriate for me to be moving forward in this way. So the three aspects of consciousness are always going to be we're going to be working in partnership with them. And when we do, we can create real and lasting change, leveraging and harnessing the power of the subconscious. When we're able to do that, I love, 𝐘𝐻𝐿 is, even though quote unquote he's a myth, I would say he's one of my greatest teachers. And he, in my mind, embodies aligning the aspects of mind. Number one, if we're just thinking about the metaphor of him being a centaur, he is the bringing together of the conscious and subconscious mind. So the body, the man representing consciousness, the aspect of the horse representing the subconscious, but then when they come together, being able to experience a world of, I mean, he was a polymath. He was he transcended out of horrible trauma, actually. And he's known as the wounded healer. Some of you might know that. But even before that, his origin story is one that's quite a traumatic one. And he wrote what Apollo adopted him after he was cast out, after being born as a centaur. His mother thought he was this abomination, and she cast him out. And so he was raised by Apollo and Artemis, and they taught him how to quote unquote rise above his beastly nature and to become the sum, that his whole was more than the sum of his parts. And so when I think of 𝐘𝐻𝐿, I have to think about that he's a bridge between instinct, intellect, and intuition. Okay? So instinct being the body, being the subconscious mind, the intellect, the mind, the conscious aspect, the human aspect, and then the intuition, the inspirational aspect, represented by the superconscious. So 𝐘𝐻𝐿 for me is the embodiment of this aligned mind concept that we are talking about just now. I have to talk about Bruce Lipton. Bruce Lipton is one of the greatest champions of the process that we're speaking about, the PSYCH-K process. And if you have not had a chance to read his beautiful book called The Biology of Belief, it is more as beautiful of a writer and translator as he is. It is based in the science of his research, which is all letting us know that the environment that we are actually in influences what and how we become. And how do we influence the environment? Oh, well, our perceptions are influencing what it is that we see in the world around us. Our perception of where we are and what we're living in influences what we become. And so his research in cloning stem cells and what happens to those cells based on the environment that they're placed in it completely shifted the paradigms. It completely turned over the idea of the central dogma. And that's what we're doing here is when we're speaking about PSYCH-K and we're speaking about these 3 levels of consciousness, and talking specifically about beliefs I think will lend itself to another conversation. But Bruce is all about that when we recognize how powerful our beliefs are, and that when we learn how to leverage the power of the subconscious mind to ensure that we have the support of that powerful manifesting part of who we are, then we really we hold the keys essentially to the kingdom. We learn also that the key metaphor is not necessarily that we have one and that we use it, but that we are actually the key to lasting change and transformation. So I have to have Bruce in here because he's just an angel, and his work it profoundly influences my work, how I live, how I see the world, and the way that I celebrate it. He also has another amazing book called The Honeymoon Effect, which is about creating heaven on earth. And that's what Tamara was talking about earlier, how she's taken what she learned, and how, I mean, she already had a beautiful life. I already had a beautiful life when I learned PSYCH-K. But the colors that we paint our world alive with now, the palette that we're able to draw from, is so much more infinitely rich and filled with hues that maybe I wasn't even consciously aware of before. And I think that that's one of the blessings and the gifts of being able to learn how to work with this process. When we align our 3 levels of mind, our 3 aspects of mind, I learned it as levels, so I'm still catching myself when I say it because I want to say it differently now instead of a level. The qualities of the mind. Really, that idea about impossible, it becomes I am possible. Everything then is possible. Now I'm just looking at the time. So when we talk about things that are possible, I just want to share that one of the things that I use PSYCH-K with, which I quite admittedly will share that I had some imposter syndrome around. Tamara knows this, and anyone that's done workshops here knows this. I love working with wisdom cards because the horses are, when we're working with the horses, I'm just going to back up for a second. And when you're doing a reflective session with the horses and you're working with a client, you're bringing them out to be able to have that shared time, that being in their company. We very often, as coaches or therapists or teachers, we bring a conscious awareness or intention to the round pen, to the paddock, to the field. And sometimes we might put that question or that intention out into the field. Whether we articulate it out loud or not, the horses are completely aware of what it is that they interface with all of who we are, our conscious, our subconscious, and our superconscious minds. And as an aside, in my experience working with people and horses in shared space, the horses are very adept and often don't use any tact when they identify where there's a subconscious pattern, a subconscious belief that's interfering in some way. They activate it, they wake it up, they bring it up and outward and alive. They cause it to vibrate. There's that emotional resonance that some of you have read about and heard about and experienced. So when we bring our consciousness to this beautiful field that the horses work in, they find and activate where our limiting subconscious beliefs often are, wake them up. But then what do we do with that? Okay, well then I want to be able to check to see if I have subconscious support in being able to move in this way, to have this relationship, to achieve this goal, whatever my intention was. And sometimes the things that we're working with are a little bit intangible. Sometimes there's not necessarily words or language that can go with it. And I have always worked with wisdom cards, because when we draw a wisdom card, when you set an intention and you draw a card, it is like the superconscious mind giving us feedback, giving us a reflection. So the horses are very much this way as well. So the wisdom cards are something, and also as an art therapist, I just love the art and the poetry and the language and the mythologies and the storytellings of the cards. Always, always love them, always use them and incorporate them in my practice. So the idea of creating a deck was always in my heart, but I always, oh, well, who are you? Look at all these amazing people that are doing these. And I thought, oh, it'd be so lovely. Oh, yes, but all of the false self-beliefs were coming up. So I did do a number of PSYCH-K balances around being able to create a deck, one that would be invited and welcomed, in particular, into the equine community, but also that would reach people that maybe dreamed about horses but didn't necessarily have any physical relationship or encounters with them. And goodness sakes, after some beautiful balances, the opportunity arose, to create a collaboration with the beautiful artist Kim McElroy to co-create this beautiful deck called the Council of Horses. And I loved the idea that the council was really important for me, because as a counselor, as someone who works with horses in that environment, horses are always offering their counsel, but also they are a council, and they are made up of horses and archetypes and legends and stories and myths, how horses have infused the human consciousness with gifts of flight, really, when you think about Pegasus or Al-Barak, who took Muhammad on his night journey, to the everyday horses we share our lives with in our backyard, like my beloved Tank, who's in this deck, and Grace, who I've talked about before as well, and Chiron, who's here behind me. This is a painting that I did for the deck, that he represents the horse that's the veil jumper, travels between worlds as a fairy horse in a way. And so these were published in October, and we were so incredibly honored and excited to be able to bring them forward in the world. The support we've received in the equine community has been amazing. And I believe that there's this slide here that I can put this up here in this way because of PSYCH-K, because of the beliefs, the stress and trauma that I had around actually the idea of being success. Sometimes it's the fear of success, not the fear of failure, that we encounter, that we want to work with and transform, to believe that we're deserving, that the creativity flows, to believe that the horses felt and deemed me worthy enough to share their stories with me to then be able to translate and write about. So PSYCH-K is intimately connected with the fact that this slide is here. And 2 days ago, which was my birthday, I got an email. I had submitted the decks to this beautiful organization that honors and recognizes tarot and wisdom card decks. And I got an email back saying that the Council of Horses has been nominated for Aspiring Debut Author and Best Guidebook. So I asked Samara if it was okay if I shared this, because this is an exact example of how I use PSYCH-K in my daily life to actualize dreams that I think might even be beyond my reach. Like, oh, I'm going to reach out for that, and I'm just going to bring that on in. And so if you have worked with these cards, or if you're touched in any way by the Council of Horses, if they have breathed into your heart, this is my beautiful Mare Grace, who passed away 4 years ago now. It would be an honor if you would cast your vote in the general direction of the horses. Yeah. And then now, an opportunity for some licking and chewing. If anybody has any questions or anything, I know, Tamara, you've got your, you've taken the reins on the chat there. I don't know if there's anything in there that people wanted to ask or speak to right now. And this, speaking of other dreams come true, I always wanted to go to Sable Island, which, for those of you that don't know, is this beautiful little sand atoll. It's just like a little skiff of beach, really, off the coast of Nova Scotia, where there are wild horses that live there, that have adapted to the environment. They're this very harsh environment. They share the island with grasses and seals and some birds, but really and a few people from Parks Canada that live there and monitor the island and monitor them. I dreamed of being able to go there and photograph the horses and get to know them and spend some time there. So last September, I was able to do that after waiting for years and weather and hurricanes and storms that would stop and start and prevent us from getting there. Last September, I finally did. And this is one of the horses from Sable Island. So I thought it was perfect because they're licking and chewing on some of the grasses that are growing there.
Okay, Sandra, so I have a question for you
Okay.
that came from Sandra Graham. And I just copied it so I could see it. And she asked it at the exact same time. I remember being in the PSYCH-K and you speaking about, whether it was the 40 million horses or the train going down the track the other way, and realizing that's the missing piece. That's it for me.
Yeah.
And so the question was, so how do we align the subconscious to the conscious?
Okay. So from a PSYCH-K perspective, we do something called a balance. And there's a number of different balances that we learn in the PSYCH-K process, but we're going to always follow Einstein's adage to keep things as simple as possible, but not simpler. So very often what we learn in the very introductory levels of PSYCH-K ends up being the balance that the subconscious mind actually is always going to select the best tool for the job. It's the balance that most often people will be using. It's the one that shows up, I'd say, a good 80% of the time when I'm doing balances. It's the one my subconscious mind chooses. So these balance processes that we learn in PSYCH-K is what turns the 40 million bit processor. It's what puts the nuclear powered locomotive on the same track as we are, and points it in the right direction, and then hits go. And so it's this balance process, which is the name that we give the process, but it's actually also the end result of the process, which creates a balanced identification between the left and the right hemispheres of the brain, the cerebral cortex. That's, again, we just peeked at the brain earlier on, but the brain is a really important part of what it all is. And so we create a whole brain state, essentially. And this comes from educational kinesiology, or brain gym, which is something that I learned about as a school teacher. I was a school teacher for 22 years. And so being able to create whole brain environments is something that is an integral part of the PSYCH-K balance process. And that's something that we teach in the PSYCH-K workshops, how to do these beautiful balances that can get that 1 million horses and the one horse all galloping forward in the same direction.
Perfect. And so my follow-up question to that, and looking more with the conscious being abstract and the subconscious being very literal, and maybe a quick lean or speak towards affirmations, what are some concrete ways we can align conscious with subconscious again?
Well, the subconscious mind is, well, first of all, be impeccable with your words. We'll borrow from Ruiz for a second. I'm going to say it in a way that I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it this way to make a point. Don't say what you don't want. So moving towards what we do want is very different than moving away from what we don't want. Okay? We always want to orient our inner compass towards where we want to go. Think about if you're riding, or when we're teaching someone to ride, we always say, look where you want to go. Or if we're leading a horse, we look where we want to go. We don't turn around and look at where we want to get away from, or the horse will turn around and go that way. So does our subconscious mind. Whatever we focus on, we create. So even if we just make that simple shift about being clear. So when I work with folks, especially women, when asked the question, what do you want? Very often, the first response is, well, I don't want to be sick anymore. I don't want to be depressed anymore. I don't want to be broke anymore. Well, what we've just done is put the broke, the debt, the coordinates, the illness, we put that into the GPS, because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between, if we're thinking about something, we're bringing it into our field. And if we're thinking about what we don't want, it doesn't differentiate. So if I'm thinking about depression, if I'm thinking about failure, if I'm thinking about illness, I'm supercharging that with my focus and with my intention. And because the subconscious mind exists in present time, if I'm always marinating in what I don't want, that's what I'm bringing more of into my life. That's the frequency that I'm emitting. It's the frequency that comes back to me. And I don't know why this is popping into my head, but I'm just going to say it. Sometimes we think that the subconscious mind, as the slide showed earlier, is below our level of conscious awareness. So we don't know what we don't know. We don't know all of the things that have been stored. So a tape recorder, it's been recording our lives since our life began. And as Bruce says, sometimes from before, even in utero. And Freud did a job on us, the subconscious mind is this dark and perverted, scary, weird place. It's not, it's just a data receptacle. So if I want to know what's in my subconscious mind, all I need to do is look at the world around me. It's a reflection. It's a beautiful, accurate reflection of what programming I have subconsciously. So if I look out at my life and see how relationships are, that tells me how my subconscious beliefs are about relationships. When I look out at the world and see how I'm experiencing success or creativity, ingenuity, well, my success and creativity and ingenuity, how I am doing in that realm, is an exact replica of what the subconscious beliefs are that I'm holding. So we don't have to even think about, like, consciously we look at the world around us, it's giving us a revelation about what's under the water, what's under the surface. So did I answer the question, Tamara?
Yeah, I think absolutely. And I think it's just, we talk a lot in the Realm Pan kind of about the balance wheel and like what true balance can look like. We don't need to shrink. But it's looking at that, looking at finances. The direct result of right now what's happening in your finances is your subconscious belief inside about what you believe about money. Look at relationships, and don't beat yourself up about this. These beliefs are subconscious beliefs, energy, patterns that are happening. Many of them happen in utero before that. When we're young, and I always say it's not about good, bad, right, wrong. It's effective or ineffective to who you want to be and where you want to go. Right. And so that's, the way I filter everything in my world is just, it's not about good, bad, right, or wrong. If I look, I come from a family that there's no divorce, and relationship wise, we're winning at. And so I can look at that, and I've got great subconscious beliefs. Everybody in my family, I mean, I'm 40, I've been with my husband for 20 some years, and my brothers are all the same. Everybody's the same. But then, you look at a different one, maybe it's finances, or maybe it's health, or, whatever that is. And it's just looking at, is it where I want to go, or am I efforting? And looking at that place of the little engine that I think is the conscious mind, where I set a goal, and probably super abstract, because that's what we do. And the subconscious doesn't understand abstract. And we set a goal to, I'm going to, fill my horse facilitated development facility with absolutely phenomenal people and kind of abstract things. And then we put the train on the track and go, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, up the hill. And what happens? the engine with 40 million cars jumps on the back and says, there's no file in you that says that you're good at this work and that you're going to bring people in, and it drags you the other way.
Yes.
And so that's, kind of that's the piece, which leads us into the next piece. I'm not sure if this is your last slide, Sandra. Am I taking over?
Yeah, you're going to take over. I just wanted to end by, so again, speaking to limiting beliefs, and I'll stop sharing screen. This is just a picture of Kyron and I. At the end of last year, I thought, well, I really want to be able to share the Council of Horses in a more public way. And I'm a bit of a, as I said, a technophobe, and I am a little bit shy. So the idea of talking about the Council of Horses was something I wanted to do, but I felt quite hesitant or nervous, or, oh, I'm going to fail at it. I don't know the technology, blah, blah, blah. So I did some balances around that. My beautiful, kind husband came out with the phone and the camera, and I loved the idea of the 12 days of Christmas and being able to set intentions. And I thought, well, why can't we do the 12 days of intention setting at the start of the new year? And then those cards that were drawn for the first 12 days, that intention and invitation would apply to the next 12 months of the year. So the first day applied for January, the second card for February, etc. And I've been having a lot of fun doing it, and I think that overcoming this barrier, this belief barrier that I had about being able to number one, figure out even how to get a little video posted up onto Facebook, and learning that, and it was just been a lot of fun, and I've been getting some really beautiful and kind feedback about the videos, and now it just seems like it's becoming more and more comfortable. I was saying to Tamara earlier today, I can have a conversation like this till the cows come home. This is really easy for me. I can talk about horses and talk about beliefs and talk about PSYCH-K and what that can do for us in our lives and in our businesses. But there was something different about it just being me, I guess. And so it's been fun, and it's something that I use PSYCH-K again to help me do.
I was on mute. And
You
so
were.
there we go. I think you can hear me now. So fabulous, Sandra. That was absolutely incredible. And, I want to back it up a little bit because, as I said, I actually looked it up. My PSYCH-K original certificate says May 2016. So it's been 9 years.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, yeah, Sean, if you stand, we're going to chat about it right now. Because this place I had done a lot of personal development. I had spent literally over $100,000 at that point doing personal development in all sorts of different, I was flying all the world, doing different things, knowing there was a missing piece, knowing that inside of me was this high level that I couldn't quite grab, and I couldn't figure out why. And so, like I said, I went to my first weekend with Sandra, and it was that place that if I'd only ever done that weekend gave me the tools that gave me every quantum leap, every quantum leap that I now have. It gave me tools to facilitate with other people now and be able to do PSYCH-K with other people. But that original did that from where I was to everywhere I wanted to be. Because the difference between where each of you are and where you want to be is subconscious beliefs. Okay, think about a computer. If you right now are on your computer and you put in the, maybe it's I'm a great facilitator, and my facility, like what I bring matters, I can fill a facility. You type that into your computer. If there's no file that says that, you're in neutral, which just means you're just kind of going nowhere. It's those 40 million horses stalled, right? If you put it in that file and it's there, you can move very quickly from where you are to where you want to go. But chances are, if you're not there yet, you don't have the file, or you have a neutral.
Mm-hmm.
But even worse, if you have a negative one saying, you're not good enough at horse facilitated development. Who are you to do this, right? Your horses aren't as magical as Lynn Mosley's are. Like whatever your belief in your computer, until we go Control-Alt-Delete and get rid of that and put in an effective belief, you're in that stall place. And so for me, this work has changed. I do this work every day. When I go into my pasture to work with my horses, I use PSYCH-K for myself to make sure I have the beliefs so that I'm the person that can facilitate at the highest possible level. I have very strong beliefs that I've put in that I believe my clients get transformation and growth every single time. And you know what? They do every single time. Why? Because the file in my computer, in my storehouse, says that. Because I really specifically put in files, because I believe this works way bigger than us. It's way bigger than all of us. Sandra is a pioneer in equine facilitated wellness. She teaches this work outside of PSYCH-K, teaches this incredible work all around the world, you know, so we're so fortunate. So quickly in talking about it, I always say, you've heard me say many times, it's about becoming the person who can facilitate at the highest possible level. To facilitate at the highest possible, you have to become the person who can. And so introducing PSYCH-K and horses. I'm so excited about this. And so PSYCH-K helps you change subconscious beliefs fast. It gives you a tool where you, for yourself, needing nobody else. I go to my pasture every day. I do PSYCH-K before every single session. I do PSYCH-K during every single session. And the results that come out are never mine. They're horses and they're PSYCH-K. And so you can change them fast at an identity level, not mindset fluff. Like, that's the thing. I've paid a lot for mindset fluff. That's not what this is. This is scientific, deep level learning and real interchange. It lets your outer, it's kind of your outer business, reflect the inside world and the work that all of us, I know for myself, I'm here to do good work. I know for so many of you, you're here to do good work, and it's getting the butt. We always in horse facilitated development, we talk about the butt, and it's getting the butt out of the way. And so what we're presenting is what changed my life in 2 days, in a weekend of 2 days. I was on site, so it's a little bit different, and molds every bit. And so it's about integration. That becoming the person who can facilitate at the highest possible level is integrating beliefs at a subconscious level. I don't care what my conscious does. It's just candy for the conscious. Just let it go. I don't give a rip what my conscious is doing, because I will never play in the space of 5%. And you don't have to either. That's the amazing thing. So it's about integration. It's about actualization, okay? And it's about becoming, okay? Leaning into and becoming the person who can facilitate at the highest possible level. And so PSYCH-K online. We were going to do it in person at my ranch, but I know many of you, to get to Northern British Columbia might be a really tough go. And so we want to make sure that facilitators are around the world are facilitating the highest level, that their clients are getting the highest results, and they've got every tool within themselves and the bridge, the tool being PSYCH-K, to be able to do it themselves. And so it's an online level 1 workshop. And I tell Sandra she can't change the name, but level 1 is so basic for what this is. When I took it, it was actually called basic. And level 1 is everything you need to be able to change every subconscious belief in your life to become a whole brain person. What is whole brain? We all think we were born left brained. You know, I'm a left brain, I'm logic, I'm business, and I am. But right brain, imagine if you could have the left brain, the business, the, you know, numbers, all left brain piece, but also have right brain, creativity, you know, all of those melded together in a whole brain state. That's what PSYCH-K does. We're born as whole brain beings, and it's our beliefs and our pressures of beliefs that lean us to left, lean us to right, or at worst case, block us on both sides. I don't know about you guys. Anybody wish they could be able to get into that state? You can. And so you're going to learn the science. So this is science-based. We're not woo-woo out there. There's always a mixture in the world, but this is science-based, okay? You're going to learn the differences between the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, and the role, okay? How to do it. How to create a powerful collaboration between your conscious and your subconscious in order to transform those beliefs. And most of them, I'll pull back the veil, you can do like that. Most beliefs, even the tough ones, even the deep-rooted, I've worked with people doing PSYCH-K for a lot of years now. Sandra, way more than me, 9 years. Most people can get through the toughest beliefs within a few minutes. I can dig deep into my toughest one, and within a few minutes, I can transform that. And here's the thing, forever. I don't work on the same beliefs every day. You know, once we've got them, we don't look back. We keep going and pulling the log out of the log jam until it is gone. You're going to learn the PSYCH-K balance, as Sandra was talking about. PSYCH-K balance is what is the process that changes scientifically, cellular level, we're celled beings, actually changes the belief in the cells. Did you know, I think it's almost all, if not all, of our beliefs ourselves work through our body in 7 years. There's a reason we keep bringing the same ones forward, and we don't have to. It's incredible. How to communicate directly with your subconscious. How do you do that? And so you can actually change where your thoughts and your actions originate. I don't really care what my conscious mind does, because it's all about that 95 to 99% of what you get in your life is coming from your subconscious. So how to create well-formed statements, goal statements. Again, we talked about affirmations. Most people have been taught to write affirmations in a way our subconscious don't understand. Totally, it needs to be literal, but we do it in a way that is so abstract. Like, I'm a wildly successful money magnet. Remember when those were super popular? What the hell is a wildly successful money magnet to your subconscious literal mind? Nothing. What does your subconscious mind do when they hear these type of affirmations, which is 95% of the affirmations we make? They say, I don't know what that means. And so they walk the other way. They go do something else. That's what your subconscious mind does. How to transform perception of stress and traumatic events in your life, okay? Which limits your life in the present moment. First gift of the horse, presence. But how do we sit in the presence with traumatic moments, stressful events, and be able to fully express ourselves from a conscious and subconscious way into a superconscious world? And how to use PSYCH-K in your daily life, following the 4 simple steps every single day. Again, I don't do a session without doing PSYCH-K. So that's our online PSYCH-K and horses integration. You're going to find, so it's an online workshop. Okay, it's Sandra's leading the online workshop. She is the best facilitator doing this work. She is the top facilitator in the world doing this work. Lori, that's on here, has asked Lori. She's been through this. Don't just hear it from me. PSYCH-K Online Level 1 is a 3-day workshop taught over Zoom so that you can join from anywhere, okay? This is the first time ever offered PSYCH-K and horses. The examples, the pieces that Sandra is one of the founding members of Equine Facilitated Wellness and understands this work through and through, imagine. And so the live dates are August 21st, 22nd, 23rd, about 6-hour days each, okay? From there, you're going to have 4 integration sessions with both myself and Sandra, where we help you become the facilitator that can facilitate at the highest possible level. If any of you came in, and maybe you came in from a program that was about parading horses, right, with expected outcomes, but you know there's so much more, that's what the end horses part is. It's about creating a new reality. So week 1, after you have fully gone through and you have all the tools for you to be able to implement PSYCH-K into your life and change all your subconscious beliefs, it's now about creating a new reality in your horse facilitated business. My goal, and probably Sandra's, but I won't speak for her, is to take this work around the world at a very high level. And that's what September 9th is about, okay? September 16th, Q&A, practical reality. You've been working on this. You've changed some beliefs. You've changed a lot of beliefs. You're focusing on your facility and taking it to that high level that you want to go. Now it's about Q&A, practical reality, okay? Our next one is September 23rd. Your GPS, your greatest personal self in your horse facilitated business. How do you step into? What is your vision of your greatest self? What is the beliefs you need to start knocking out? Okay. How do we get through that really, really quickly so you move into your greatest personal self? This is about building your business. Okay. You've heard me talk a lot about genius in the last couple of years. This is genius. This is that highest level of you and deleting anything that does not support you in moving forward. And September 30th, it's the 12 principles of equus. It's how we create significance in our horse work. Here's the thing. You've heard me talk a lot about the zone of excellence, right? That level right before genius. That zone of excellence, the zone of success, there's a level beyond success. It's called significance. And yeah, next level, and absolutely next level significance. That's where you live in genius. How do you live in genius? You lean into your gifts, your strengths, that best part of you. If you've been in Wildly Unbridled, you know about that, right? It's that best part of you that you're here to bring to the world. Now imagine if you could quantum leap, because there's a shortcut to delete any unconscious, subconscious beliefs that are not effective to who you want to be and where you want to go. I don't know. This excites me because
me too.
I love this work. When I come back to this work, it just, and I do this work all the time, every day for myself, but I know leaning in I know there's next level. I know there's a new quantum leap for all of us. And so we're at the end. If you want to lead real transformation through horses, this is the work. Okay, so 𝐶𝐘 and horses, first time ever, kicking off in August. So the total price to transform your thoughts, get in control of your life. This is not just about your horse work. How you do one thing is how you do everything, right? You've heard me say that so many times, right? Everywhere you go, there you are. And it's aligning every bit of that. Like Sandra said, you turn your eye to where you want to go, effective or ineffective, right? If you're saying, man, I suck at relationships, do you think that that's impacting your horse business? You betcha it is. Of course it is, right? If you know, you're really incredible at relationships because you have those solid beliefs. Do you think that's effective or ineffective to who you want to be and where you want to go in your horse business, right? There is no keeping all of that separate. And imagine the next level when you line it all up, right? So total price to transform your thoughts, getting control of your life, lead horses and humans to transformation. Because I think on some level, that's what we're all here to do. Okay. It's quite simple, and I think it's a hell of a deal, and it's going up next time, I guarantee it. $14.97 USD. That includes Sandra's level 1 3-day. You get full. Sandra is the best PSYCH-K facilitator in the world, and they would tell you that from head office. And so that's 3 days online in August, and then you get both of us for 4 days to truly implement this into your business. And so last thing, I always give a bonus because I always say fortune favors the brave and the bold, and the ones that actually show up. And so I had a different idea for the bonus, but I changed it along the way. And I'm going to put a little in the chat here. There you go. There's your link. So for people who do it, so Roxy's already taken level 1. How cool. Roxy, I believe there is a little different. Sandra can chat with you about that afterwards. So yeah, if you decide to join us and really make the decision that you're ready for the next level, and not just your life, but your business. And again, you're getting the tool, the PSYCH-K balances that you have for the rest of your life. I probably do 50 a day, literally. I'm all day long. It's just part of who I am. I'm actually going to offer for the people in the next 24 hours to do a session with you. So I am
Wow.
a PSYCH-K facilitator.
That's amazing, Tamara. That's so generous.
Yeah, where I'll actually facilitate for you as if I was facilitating with horses. And I charge $350 US for a session, just so you know, where we will actually go on Zoom, dig in. And I always say my goal, and it probably came from Sandra, is to pull the logs out of the log jam, help you pull those out. So we blow up the log jam so you can truly start moving forward. So imagine now being able to, because we are all blocked. You know, I always think I should call Sandra and do a session with her because we sometimes can't see our own shit, right? So anybody in the next 24 hours who does join, I will do that with them. We can do it now. We can do it afterwards when you're feeling like, okay, now I know what this is. I'd love to do it that way. But I'll tell you this, if I were to pinpoint one thing that has quantum leaped and changed my life, it's PSYCH-K. And I think, oh my goodness, if I had had PSYCH-K and horses to be taught when I opened up my facility, I'm super pumped on where we are today, but I can't imagine where we would be today. And so link is in there. I hope you take advantage of that bonus. Makes me a little bit nervous how many sessions I'll be doing, but I can tell you, it's not about me. I've never been through a session that wasn't absolutely mind-blowing for the person. Why? Because it's them and their subconscious and their superconscious that makes all the decisions. So thank you for showing up. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, and I do have one more link. Sorry. If you have questions and you think this is not for everyone, but if this is for you and you just have a couple questions you don't feel comfortable asking live, I'm going to throw in a link. You can book there with me directly this week, and we can answer your questions and figure out what's the next step to get you going into PSYCH-K and horses. So yeah, never been offered. I guarantee this piece will change your life. So thank you everyone for showing up. Any questions, let me know. And yeah, I can't wait to see you in August and see who you become. I guess probably be September 1st. So again, there's the link. I'll leave it open for a moment, and I can't wait to be with each of you for PSYCH-K and horses. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Sandra, I'll close and open back up. I just have to ask you a question.
Sure, absolutely.
That Roxy had. So
yeah.
Just be a moment.